The student's tech scores are lagging because he missed several classes.
Okay, I do like that you have two clear thought groups. Like the students' test scores are lagging. First thought group because you missed several classes. Second thought group, very clear thought groups. I can hear your pitch shifting between those, which is great. We always want to have that.
The student's tech scores are.
How are you saying test? Can you say test scores, test scores, test scores?
The student's tech scores are.
I feel like I'm hearing like like a text message or something. The students' text scores.
The student's tech scores are.
Now, some of that could be from the microphone and things like that. So take everything with a grain of salt. But just make sure when you're saying students' test scores, this is kind of a tricky phrase because of the T and the S sounds. There's so many of them. Like students, that has two ST or TS sounds. Test has those T's and S's as well. Even scores has that S and that Z sound, scores.
Students' tech scores are lagging.
I would also say on lagging.
Tech scores are lagging because.
I would say that when you're saying lagging, it sounds to me like your placement's going high on that second syllable. Lagging versus lagging. Do you know that difference? Lagging. Say lagging. So just watch out for that part there.
Are lagging because he missed several classes.
Because he missed several classes. Because
he missed several classes.
Miss several. I like your pitch. That was a great shift of pitch between miss several. That drop in pitch is very helpful, very natural sounding. We need to use more of our lower pitches when we speak in American English. And I like what you did there.
Because he missed several classes.
I wouldn't be opposed for classes to have more of a short I sound at the end. Classes. Because I feel like I'm hearing classes versus classes.
As a public speaking teacher, one of the things that I think about really often is what are the key components that make a masterful communicator.
Okay. I appreciate that you are really trying to push the pitches. I can hear a nice range here. I think there's some places where we could even go further if we allow ourselves to. If you believe in yourself, you can do it. So let's kind of see what's going on here. Play this again. Smaller chunks.
As a public speaking teacher.
So like there are some British English influences kind of going on. You can hear especially on teacher with the dropped R or really weakened R at the end.
As a public speaking teacher.
You get a teacher versus teacher. Remember, American English R sounds just don't disappear. You don't want them to dominate, but they're just not going to be they're always going to be present.
As a public speaking teacher.
That's what I'm going to say here. Rhythm. What's happening is we're really shortening our vowel sounds and we're really lengthening our consonant sounds. But American English in general wants the exact opposite of that. We want to lengthen our vowels and we want to shorten our consonant sounds. I can give you some examples of what I'm talking about.
As a public.
How do you say public? Say public 3 times. Public. If you find you're saying public, that's a sign that your sound, your schwa is really short, and also your short I sound on lick is really short. Public. Versus public. See how weak the P and the BL is? Like public. It's not public. It's public.
As a public speaking teacher.
As a public speaking teacher. Another thing too is also stress. So public speaking is it looks like a compound noun, but a lot of times it's just treated with the stress on speaking. As a public speaking, things like that. Typically, speaking actually gets the stress. So I wouldn't be surprised if you asked a lot of native speakers to say this phrase. I wouldn't be surprised if you heard a lot of people saying public speaking teacher. As a public speaking teacher, with just a stress on speaking. As a public speaking teacher.
As a public speaking teacher.
But you're putting a stress on teacher, right? Public speaking teacher as a public speaking teacher versus as a public speaking teacher. Here's the difference in rhythm there. So it's just kind of something to consider.
One of the things that I think about really often.
I really like how you said one of the things I really think about.
One of the things that I think.
One of the things I really like how you said one of those great.
One of the things.
So this is kind of the exact opposite of what we just said. So this is a case where I think your vowel sounds are very long and very open, which is great. It's really flowing. One of the
teacher. One of the things is
the thing we get a little stuck on things. It's like one of the things.
One of the things that I
Things versus one of the things. One of the things. Can you say things 3 times? Things, things, things. Things, things, things. If you focus too much on the th or the ng, it's going to turn into things versus things, things, things. You hear the difference in rhythm? It's not really about the th. It's not really about the ng. It's really about the vowel sound. One of the things. Really trying to open up that ing. One of the things. So just trying to open that up a little bit.
can teacher. One of the things
I like that pitch change. As a public speaking teacher, one of the things that you chose to go up, new thought group, raising the pitch. I like that decision. I think it sounds good.
one of the things that I think about really often is
That I think about. One of the things that I think about really often.
things that I think about really often is
So here, a lot of stresses. One of the things. So you're stressing one, and then you're stressing think, and then you're stressing often.
one of the things that I think about really often is
So that certainly can work if you have enough separation in your thought groups and your pitches. Like one of the things that I think about really often, something like that, if you increase the pitch range, you can make that work. But the problem is we're kind of treating this all as one thought group. So our pitch isn't really doing that range. And so we have too many stresses. So it's making it sound really choppy. One of the things I think about really often versus one of the things I think about really often. One of the things that I think about really often. So I would cut off the stress. I would take off the stress on think if we want to maintain this pitch level.
that I think about really often is
We're also getting a little short on our vowel sound. Like really often,
that I think about really often is
you can hear it think about really often. Think about really often.
that I think about really often is
Really often. I would take off the T on often. One of the things that I like about doing that is it's going to make the word flow more because often sounds choppy versus often is going to flow a lot more. So I personally would take off the T. Also on about really, when you say about really, I would use a held T there. So instead of about really, I would say about really, think about really.
think about really often.
Do that. Think about really.
One of the things that I think about really often is
Okay, so those are just some notes there. That's going to help smooth out that phrase. It's going to make the vowels get their chance to breathe and shine.
one of the key components that make a masterful communicator.
Okay, we see again some R sounds. So it's a masterful, more masterful. We need just a slightly firmer R sound for American English on masterful. And then also communicator instead of communicator versus communicator.
Masterful communicator.
Communicator. So also some stress things, right? Communicator. So you're stressing Kate. Usually, at least in North America, you're going to hear the stress on communicator. So it's not communicator, it's communicator. Just some stress things there.
Communicator.
Communicator. Masterful communicator. That make a masterful communicator. That's how I would have said that phrase. Make a masterful communicator. Other little things
that make a masterful communicator. The key component is that make
what sounds like we're getting a Z sound in there.
the key component is that make
key components that make that th. I think it's the th on that is a little bit too strong. Again, it's not about the th, it's about the ass sound. Trying to make the ass stronger. Components that make. That's how I would link that phrase. Components that make. And I want to hear masterful.
Component is that make masterful.
Like it almost sounds like we're saying ma.
Is that make masterful.
Master versus master. So again, I think we're seeing some British English influences.